Giants and A's together for almost 2 decades. Tonight they meet with each team headed in the opposite direction. The world champion Giants are in the thick of yet another postseason run. The A's reside at the bottom of the American League West despite high hopes to start the season. But as all Bay Area fans know, none of that seems to matter when it comes to this rivalry. It's Game 1 of the Giants-A's Battle of the Bay next. Tonight, it's all Bay Area, all in San Francisco. The Oakland Athletics of the American League West, the San Francisco Giants of the National League West. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller with Mike Krukow. Welcome to San Francisco Giants baseball. Exciting times for the Giants lately after they swept the Phillies just before the All-Star break here. They went 5-1 on their just concluded road trip, and now back home and with Jake Peavy on the mound. And Peavy's return to the rotation just about coincide with the Giants' hot streak. But there's also been a lot of offense from these Giants lately.
Well, that really has been the thing that has come alive these last 9 games, of which the Giants have won 8. They're swinging the bats, and no surprise that their centerpiece, Buster Posey, is in the middle of a lot of run production, 471 during this hot streak. So this is an offense that no longer is concerned if they get down early in a ball game by a bunch. They have the firepower to come back. This should be a very spirited series. This game tonight will be all about who plays the cleanest defense, and it should be a fun one.
The Giants have had mixed results here at home, especially with their offense, and they're facing an Oakland team that pitches extremely well. Chavez tonight for Oakland against Peavy for the Giants. And stay tuned. After this break, we'll take you to our Comcast Sportsnet studios for an update.
six-game homestand. They kick things off tonight with interleague action in the much-anticipated Bay Bridge Series. The Oakland A's are in town for a three-game set. Welcome back to the broadcast. I'm Amy Gutierrez, and your San Francisco Giants, they are very hot right now to start the second half. Maybe more importantly, though, they are getting healthy. Let's talk about Jake Peavy, tonight's starting pitcher, and the impact he's made since returning from the disabled list. His last start, that is our Ford right choice this evening as we look back to July 18th. For high-quality, great MPG, Ford is the right choice for California. Peavy recorded his first regular season win after missing 67 games because of back injuries. He also recorded his very first hit since he was with the Red Sox in 2013. To say he was excited, maybe an understatement. He took a pretty wide turn at first base, but he dove back just in time. The Giants this evening, they're going to need every bit of Peavy's fiery presence on that mound. He's going to square off against the A's Jesse Chavez. It's going to be a good one. We've got lineups first pitch, and John and Mike have the call. Stay with us.
Brought to you by Roundtable Pizza, true island flavor in the new Maui Zowie Supreme Pizza with roundtablepizza.com. You can order online from almost anywhere, even your own luau. Only at Roundtable, the last honest pizza. At number one, Jake Peavy, corner command. It is essential that he establishes that early in the ball game with all of his pitches, too. Out D the A's. Giants are going to have to catch the ball in this series. Whoever catches the ball the best is going to win the ball game. And setup men for the Giants, both at the top of their lineup and both at the back end of their bullpen. Those are our round table key ingredients.
Orange Friday, so we're awaiting the Giants' arrival onto the field here. Buster Posey is ready to go. See Jake Peavy in the background there, number 22, also getting ready. Jake, and look at Buster's right hand there. His fingers are all painted a little beyond what we're used to seeing with the catcher's right hand.
Well, that's a white paint they put on the back of their fingers, and he also has the game signs on his fingernails, and he's just doing it to help out Jake Peavy, who has a problem at night seeing the signs from the catcher. And when you notice as this game goes on, you see Buster put the signs down, how easy it is to see. And not only for Peavy, but for the middle infielders as well. In fact, I think people out in the bullpen will be able to see the signs tonight.
The Giants are on the field, so let's take a look at the Oakland batting order. Brought to you by your Northern California Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Billy Burns, the speedy leadoff man, center field. Stephen Vogt, he was an all-star, the catcher. Ben Zobrist, second base. Billy Butler, the former Kansas City Royal, hits cleanup at first base. Josh Reddick having an excellent year. He's in right field. Brett Laurie, former Toronto Blue Jay, third base. Eric Sogard at shortstop, hitting seventh. Sam Fuld, the former Stanford star, in left field. And Jesse Chavez is the pitcher.
On the hill tonight for the Giants will be the 2007 National League Cy Young Award winner, three-time All-Star Jake Peavy, and this is what he has done in 5 starts, 1-4 with a 4.94 ERA. Really got off to a horrific start the first 2 outings because he was not able to really use his lower body because of some back and hip stiffness. Went on the disabled list, and since coming back, his ERA has been 3.2 in those 3 starts. When he's right, you're going to see a fastball from a low 3/4 release that's got good natural sink to it. He will also cut that fastball. He's got a great changeup that he'll throw, a curveball, and a slider. PV lifetime against Oakland, 1-1 with a 2.53 ERA. Let's take a look at the defense playing behind PV, starting the Giants outfield. From left to right, it'll be Blanco, Pagan, and Pence, the best arm in right field. Crawford and Duffy on the left side of the infield, Panic and Bell on the right side. And Buster Posey, he'll be in the squad, putting down the sides.
Billy Burns to lead off for the Athletics. Burns really starting to blossom as a player, hitting .310. Switch hitter. He'll bat left-handed. 2 home runs, and he has 20 stolen bases. So if he gets on, he can create trouble. .346 on base average. And there you see the sign very clearly given by Buster Posey. And we are underway as that fastball runs off the outside for ball 1. Broken bat. Brandon Belt will take it himself. And Burns is retired. 1 away. The umpiring alignment shows DJ Rayburn behind the plate. And the longtime veteran umpire, Joe West, the crew chief over at first base. Kerwin Danley at second base. And Rob Drake is the third base umpire. There's the Blue Cowboy, Joe West.
Broke in 1977.
Here's Stephen Vogt. Vogt having an excellent year. Just a little bit low. Vogt hitting .282, 14 homers, 58 runs batted in, and a .365 on base percentage. Second baseman for the Giants, Joe Panik, is out in shallow right field. That at the knees for a called strike.
Now, DJ Rayburn, the plate umpire, is a low ball umpire, but he has a very tight zone. You don't get big corners, and if it's possible, he actually at times seems like he tightens up the zone when a pitcher gets 2 strikes on a hitter. It's a hitter's zone.
Pagan, 2 down. That ball looked like it was hit right off the end of the bat, and it carried well out there. Pagan hardly had to move for it. And we checked the flags up above the scoreboard and out in right center field. They all indicate the wind is blowing straight out towards San Francisco Bay.
Well, that's where the carry is on this field. The prevailing winds. In batting practice today, the ball was carrying well. So look for this ballpark to be live, especially early in the game.
Ben Zobrist, .344 on base average. And he takes a strike. He got injured early in the year. This is Oakland's 98th game, but only the 65th for Zobrist. There's Billy Butler on deck. Field covered in the dark shadows. And that changeup in the dirt on the inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. The only area on the field that's in the sunshine is way out there in right center field at the 421 marker. And of course the hitter's backdrop. You get a look at it. Looking right into the reflection of the sun off the hitter's backdrop. That's foul ball and handled by Ty Waller, the first base coach for Oakland. Ty Waller over there, and Mike Gallego, the third base coach for the Athletics.
Ty Waller, an old teammate of mine with the Chicago Cubs. Mike Gallego, good baseball men. Gallego and Waller.
Little cutter coming back toward the plate. Apparently off the outside. 2-2. Mike Aldrete, a former Giant, is the bench coach. Kurt Young, the pitching coach. Marcus Jensen, a former Giant, is the assistant hitting instructor and the catching coach. And that is the end of the inning. The strikeout. Peavy retires the Athletics in order on 10 pitches. Pagan, Panic, Duffy coming up. Batting order presented by Audi. Truth in engineering. Pagan leads off center field. Joe Panic at second, hitting .316. Matt Duffy, third base. Buster Posey, the catcher, hitting .318. Hunter Pence in right, who has a .362 career batting average against the Athletics with 3 homers and only 11 games against them. Brandon Belt, first base. He homered Wednesday in San Diego. Brandon Crawford at short. And Brandon just having a monster season, knocking in runs. Gregor Blanco in left, hitting 8th, and Peavy the pitcher.
On the hill tonight for the Athletics will be Jesse Chavez, the right-hander, 6'2", 160-pounder. He's 31 years of age in his 5th year at the big league level. This is what he has done this year. Chavez 5-9 with a 3.21 ERA. When you take your bats against him, you're going to get a low to mid-90s fastball, 2 types of movement with the fastball. He's got a cutter, a curveball, and a changeup. Likes to work quick.
Foul tipped. 1 ball, 1 strike to Pagan. The Athletics starting staff has been excellent. The Athletics staff leads the American League in earned run average by the starting rotation. Number 1. And it's 2-1. But their bullpen earned run average is next to last in the American League. The Athletics have. What are those? Are big salads?
Eating healthy tonight. Tomorrow night is garlic fries and hot dogs.
And Pagan chased that changeup in the dirt. 2-2. But the Athletics have lost a lot of leads late in games, and their record in games decided by 1 run, 10 wins, 22 losses. That was over, but too low. Now it's a full count. Kurt Suzuki, the former Oakland catcher. Kobayashi. Who's he with again?
I thought he was the guy that used to eat the hot dogs.
Up the middle, base hit. Now let's take a look at who's hot. Brought to you by Papa Murphy's. Fresh made, fresh baked. Love at 425 degrees. Joe Panik. He has 111 hits this year. Tied for third most in the National League. Only D. Gordon and Paul Goldschmidt have had more hits than this man, Joe Panik. And in the last 11 games, he's had 18 hits and a 400 batting average. Very all-star-like. 1 ball and no strikes.
Chavez not missing by much. Just don't have big corners on this strike zone tonight with DJ Rayborn, plate umpire.
Panik, not only that 316 average, but a 383 on base percentage. Excellent. Pagan back to the bag standing. Butler on the bag with him.
Panik is a guy you could do a lot of things with. He has tremendous bat control. Chris Bochy can put a play on because he knows for the most part if he does put a play on, Panik's going to make contact.
2-0.
Giants do not run a whole bunch. Just not part of the game.
Pagan, since the bone bruise on his left knee, has not been running a whole lot. Only 5 steals all year. High pop up. This is Laurie onto the mound. And as soon as he started up the mound, that was not easy.
Let's take a look at the A's defense playing behind Jesse Chavez tonight. Starting in the A's outfield from left to right will be Fold, Burns, and Reddick. The best arm in right field with Reddick. It's a good one. Sogard and Laurie on the left side of the infield. Zobrist and Butler on the right side. And Stevens both will be in the squad putting down the signs.
Matt Duffy, 297 batting average. 339 on base percentage. Duffy, 8 homers, 15 doubles, 4 triples. Ball 1. The Dodgers won their game. They have played already in New York, and they won 7-2 over the Mets. They won the first 2 games of that series. The Giants began the day 3 games back of LA, 2 in the loss column in the National League West. 2-0. Change up in the dirt. Dodgers got a strong performance by a rookie starter just brought up from the minor leagues, Ian Thomas. Zach Greinke would have been due up in that game, but he's on paternity leave. His wife about to deliver the couple's first child. Came back over the outside for a called strike. 2-1. Big hole open on the right side with Butler on the bag holding against Pagan. You see Zobrist, the second baseman, also shaded well over toward the middle. And he got the low strike there. 2-2.
You don't see low strikes. Good change up there. 2-seam grip. Same type of movement that he just showed in the 2-0 pitch. Only this one about 5 feet shorter. But wants a slider.
And a foul out of play.
That was not a slider. That was a fastball. So the A's using a set of signs that is not traditional. Usually you put 3 fingers down, and that means slider or cutter.
Full count. Saved there by Vogt on a ball in the dirt. So we'll keep an eye on Pagan here with Buster Posey on deck. Hunter Pence in the hole. Chavez before tonight in 106 and 2/3 innings, 93 strikeouts. Pagan dives safely back to the bag.
Chavez is one of those guys that really is valuable to his staff. I mean, he fits in nicely to a rotation. He wants to start, but he's also a guy that's very good at coming out of the bullpen. I mean, he could close. He's got that kind of stuff.
Pagano was running. The ball is tapped foul right over past Buster Posey.
You could long relieve him. You could set up with him. This is what he did last year, just a little over a year ago. 6 strong innings, 9 strikeouts.
Yeah. A lot of people feel the same way about Buster as that young lady. Pagano runs. That's a base hit into center field, and Pagano will keep going to third. First and third for Buster Posey coming up.
Well, it's time for our BMW Drive, the ultimate driving machine at Bay Area BMW.com. Buster Posey, the last 8 games, 471, 16 for 34, a double, 9 RBIs, and he is going line to line with the amount of field that he has been using, really spreading it around. This was the big swing of the bat that was the difference in the ball game Sunday in San Diego. And that was a 2-strike at bat off a beautiful pitch, and he just went and beat it. That was our BMW Drive.
25 RBIs in his last 20 games. Overall this year, 318 average, 384 on base percentage, and 66 runs batted in. That's good for 4th in the National League in that category. Middle infield, double play depth, and it's ball 1. Well, Buster has been getting a lot of RBIs, and he's had a lot of chances to get RBIs. People like Panic and Duffy especially, and lately Pagano have been on base all the time. That spins in there for a called strike.
Well, we talked about one of the keys tonight being the setup man, and they have done the job here, and they have set it up here for Posey. Or the runner at third base in less than 2 outs. I mean, you're thinking fly ball, which is what the situation calls for. Anything you can get beyond that is bonus.
And the changeup fooled him.
That's a good one. Way out front, you see the reach in the swing. The pitcher, you take a guy's leg out because of a mixture of speed, you've done your job. You've upset his timing.
Back to the screen.
He was on that one. That's one he'd like to see again. I don't think that Stephen Vogt, the catcher for the A's, wanted that ball in the strike zone. He wanted that movement to fall off the plate in towards Posey. So Chavez got away with one there.
Pagano at third, Duffy at first. 1-2 the count to Buster. And he takes that changeup down to the way. 2-2 the count. Buster is hitting .394 for the year with runners in scoring position. That is a foul ball. Laurie went over to get it. Still 2-2 to Buster Posey, battling it out here. There's Hunter Pence on deck.
You know, one of the things the Giants have done a great job of these last 9 games when they've gone 8-1 is get a lot of pitches out of the starting pitchers, and it's happening again tonight. They've got 23 so far off of Chavez. Just that type of lineup. I mean, they're patient. They know the strike zone. A lot of 5 and 6 pitch at bats, and those add up against the starter.
Well, he had him really off balance for that changeup, and he fouled it out of play. Still alive.
Well, I think he did well to get a piece of it. I mean, that's 3 times that Chavez has thrown him a changeup in this at bat, and he has not been able to time that back leg to it, which simply means he's not seeing it.
2-2 the count. 2 on, 1 out. No score. And he follows it up with a fastball, and Buster is able to foul that one away.
25 pitches.
And every Giant hitter who's come up in this inning has had a similar kind of an at bat where they've made him throw a lot of pitches. Buster's the 4th hitter, and it's been 6 pitches or more per hitter. 2-2. There goes Duffy from first. And a foul ball right back to the screen. Duffy will have to return. Zobrist, the second baseman, was over to cover. With Duffy running, that opened up virtually the entire right side of the infield for Buster, should he take a shot at it. The outfield is shaded toward right a bit. Two and two. Duffy runs. Right center field. And the catch made by Reddick. But even Reddick's great arm will be of no use to get Pagan, who scores. And quite a plate appearance by Buster Posey. Yet another RBI. 1-0 Giants.
Yeah, that's the big leagues right there. We talked about the number of times that Chavez threw that changeup and really took his legs out. I mean, that really makes a hitter get short. And in a fly ball situation, I mean, it's just not an easy at bat what he did.
67th RBI for Buster Posey. Giancarlo Stanton was third in the league at the start of the day, so Buster has tied him in that category among the RBI leaders in the National League. Yes, Hunter always gives 100%.
I love that.
1 ball and no strikes. 2 down. Duffy dives safely back. Burns staying on the bag with him. Hunter Pence, 291 average. He's had 26 RBIs for the whole season, and he's only played in 29 games. That's just foul.
It's a good shot there, though, to see the movement that Chavez has on that fastball. I mean, he's throwing a lot of outside two-seam fastballs that are starting away and then coming back into the strike zone. And he is very good at being able to locate to the knees on both sides of the plate with both types of fastballs.
1-1 the count. High and tight with a changeup. 2-1. Pence facing Chavez, and he's had 1 hit in 5 previous at bats against him, plus a walk. Giants don't have that much regular season experience against Chavez, but they've seen a lot of him in spring training. 2-2.
Pulled out that pitch. I haven't seen Hunter Pence do that very often since he's come back off the disabled list. He's really used the right side of the field very well.
Into left center field. Duffy was running with the pitch, and Duffy's going to be able to come all the way around to score. Hunter Pence with an RBI double. 2-0 Giants.
Big swing of the bat with 2 outs and 2 strikes for a lot of reasons. Obviously, it puts another run on the board. He puts himself in score position, and it gets more pitches out of Chavez. This is just a hanger right at the belt. And what we have seen consistently with Hunter Pence in the last couple of weeks is he's not missing up. Finds a gap. They had shaded him over the right side of the field. Hits away from the defense. And an easy score from Duffy from first.
Kurt Young, the pitching coach, out to the mound as Hunter Pence talks it over with Ben Zobrist and umpire Kerwin Danley. The Giants offense this season leads all of Major League Baseball with runs scored after 2 were down. Of course, this adds to that total, number 186 for the Giants. Almost 2 runs a game on average with 2 down in an inning. So here is Brandon Belt to try and keep it moving. Just off the outside, and I think Chavez and Vogt both wanted that call.
It's just a tight corner. I mean, the zone's not big tonight. And for pitchers and catchers both, I mean, they're used to getting that call. And when you don't get it, it just seems like, you know, something's missing.
Out in shallow right field is Zobrist. And that ends the inning. Belt retired. The Giants get 2 runs, and they force Chavez to throw 34 pitches.
Gentlemen, he is in Albuquerque with the Giants AAA affiliate, the Sacramento River Cats. Bochy today saying that Aoki was here at the field yesterday testing out that right fibula that was fractured back on June 20th. He was running, and they all decided in his best interest to get a few more games under his belt. It is a pretty severe injury. It's nothing that they want to rush. If you've been injured in an accident, call 1-800-4INJURY or go to 1-800-4injury.com.
All right, Amy, thank you. As Billy Butler singles to left field, leading off the second inning for the Athletics against that man, Jake Peavy.
Now, this was the injury when he was hit on the right ankle, just above the ankle. And he tried to play on it. I mean, gamely. I mean, he was actually in the lineup the next day, but it just would not allow him to play. Once they found the fracture in the MRI, they realized he had to go on the DL. Well, he's been missed.
Josh Reddick. Aoki was among the league's leading hitters. His batting average for the year, .317. He just fell out of the league leaders category. You have to have a certain number of plate appearances per game. And that is in there for a strike, but he would still be sixth in the league in batting average with his average. And Aoki, not only with a .317 average, a .383 on base percentage, just doing a great job as the leadoff man for the Giants, creating RBI opportunities. Reddick, who is having an excellent year, .283 average, 12 homers, 56 driven in, a lot of RBIs. He's had his fair share of injury problems the last couple of years, since he had a 35 home run season. Josh Reddick, who's also an outstanding right fielder. 1-2 the count. Belt plays behind Butler at first. And 2-2.
Tried to elevate that fastball.
Giants have day games here tomorrow and Monday with Oakland, 1:05 each day. And then Monday, the Milwaukee Brewers come in for their only visit. Jonathan Lucroy and company. They're in Arizona this weekend. And that changeup low and in. And now it's a full count.
Now this becomes a big pitch. Peavy trying to get that shutdown inning after his team gave him a 2-spot at the bottom of the first.
We have A's fans and Giants fans in the ballpark tonight, as you would expect with the all Bay Area matchup. That's a foul out of play off to the left.
Seems like we've been away from this ballpark for about 3 months.
Well, it's been nearly 2 weeks, literally, since the Giants played a game here. They played the Phillies for 3 and then had the All-Star break and then the road trip and then a day off yesterday. 3-2 the count. And back out of play.
Well, we get back here just in time for the beer can regatta. I mean, it's an unbelievable sunset.
So what a picturesque San Francisco Bay Area evening it is. And the beer can regatta, the finish line is the entrance to McCovey Cove. And there's a lot of serious racers out there too, and many of them have the radio on, listening to KMBR, the radio broadcast, while they race. Another foul by Reddick, so he's hanging tough. Peavy's already thrown as many pitches in this inning as he threw in the entire first inning.
Well, he's slowing it down, controlling the pace. There's the huge.
Oh, time to tack. Move it. 3-2 the count. Butler at first, and Belt apparently close enough to the bag that no balk is called.
All right, here we go. Ready? Tack coming around. That was huge.
So Reddick fouls one right back to the screen. Still 3-2. I think that was the ninth pitch seen by Reddick in this trip to the plate. My best move for Sailing was just to keep going straight.
That's a good move.
The tacking thing, no good. Not good for me. 3-2 the count. And again, this belt is not on the bag.
Well, the only reason he's doing that is to try and ice Reddick. I mean, there's zero threat of Billy Butler trying to steal a base. And another foul ball.
Well, we saw Oakland pitcher Chavez throw 34 pitches in the first inning after a 10-pitch inning by Peavy. And now Peavy is getting linked out here by Reddick all by himself. This will be the 11th pitch to Josh Reddick. And that's a base hit. Quite an at bat by Josh Reddick.
That was a great at bat. Well, the Brewers are coming to town Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And Monday and Tuesday's games both 7:15 starts. Wednesday, a day baseball game in the city with a 12:45 start. Brewers Giants. You need tickets? Go to sfgiants.com/tickets.
So 2 men on. The Athletics with a threat, and the batter will be Brett Lawrie.
You know what crosses your mind when you're a pitcher? It's like, why couldn't you have done that on the first pitch? Seriously.
Brett Lawrie trying to make something happen here for the Athletics, who trailed 2-0, and there's ball one. Lawrie has a .276 batting average, .313 on base percentage. You're talking about all those pitches thrown. I remember talking to Steve Carlton, who pitched a lot of complete games in his career. He was a guy who went out intending to finish what he started, and quite often did. That's a foul off the mask of Buster Posey. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. And they'll give Buster a little chance to shake that off.
Well, when I played with Carlton in 1982, he won the Cy Young Award that year with the Phillies. And there was no pitch count for Steve Carlton. He was a 2-pitch guy. Fastballs, he always pitched away. He never pitched in with. And a slider. Everything he threw hard. There wasn't a lot of finesse. It was just a power pitch one after another. And if he threw 160 pitches, which he did routinely, 90 of them would have been sliders.
He said that the guy who drove him nuts when he was a young pitcher was with the Giants, Ron Hunt. 1 ball, 1 strike. Broken bat. There's one. And that's the only one. And they just did get Reddick, who really hustled over to second base. Panic covering, taking the throw from Duffy. Butler goes to third, and that bat, man, what a frightening thought. Look, that was the bat. The broken part of it just kept spiraling down and into the crowd.
It is something that we're seeing less and less of than when the Maplewood bats first came into the game. Duffy getting that force out. That's an important run, especially with a guy with speed.
So now first and third. 1 out. And here is Eric Sogard. Giants middle infield, double play depth. Belt on the bag at first with Lawrie. Ball 1.
Change up. Doobie followed that when he wanted it.
Sogard hitting .249 and a .289 on base average. No homers. But we just saw that long at bat by Josh Reddick. And Steve Carlton said Ron Hunt would go up there and start fouling off pitches, and he'd have 10, 12, 13 pitches every time Hunt would come up. So he said if there were 2 down, nobody on, he'd just drill him with the first pitch.
Well, I mean, he was on top of the plate. It was easy to hit.
And a lot of times he wanted to be hit. Ron Hunt had the record for a long time for most times being hit by a pitch. He sort of was a precursor in that regard to a guy going into the Hall of Fame this weekend, Craig Biggio.
Biggio was on top of the plate too, but Biggio was one of the first guys to wear the elbow pad, and when he first started wearing it, it looked like a catcher's mitt on his elbow, and that's not an exaggeration. And he'd lean into it, get hit.
It was a part of his game that helped get him into the Hall of Fame. That he also had 3,000 base hits, as well as getting hit an awful lot and getting walks, hitting some home runs. There's a strike to Sogard, 2-1. But Ron Hunt, before anybody ever really talked about on-base percentage, always had a high on-base percentage. And it wasn't unusual for him to get hit 40, 50 times in a season. So Carlton just said, well, he doesn't mind getting hit anyway. I'm just going to drill him now. It'll save me 12 pitches.
The thought does cross your mind.
In there for a strike, 2-2.
Nice little breaking ball, taking out the outside corner. A lot of orange on Orange Friday. Gamer babes are here, all ready with their game faces on.
Butler at third, Laurie at first. Giants lead 2-0 here in the second. 1 out. This is the 21st pitch of the inning, thrown by Peavy. Right to Belt. Here's one. Crawford back to him. 2, a double play, and the inning is over. No hesitation from Belt. He knew before the ball was hit exactly what he intended to do, and that ends the inning. No runs across. Crawford coming up, 2-0 Giants. Your Honda dealer. This was 2003, Barry Bonds' birthday, 12 years ago today. He threw out Craig Counsell in the plate to preserve a tie in the top of the ninth, and then a homer to end the game in the last of the ninth. Wow. So Barry Bonds on one pitch threw out the runner at the plate to keep it a 2-2 tie, then came up to lead off the last of the ninth. Boom. Game over. And not much time to celebrate for Barry. Not that day, not really that year. His dad, Bobby, was in the hospital, deathly ill, and Barry went right from the ballpark to the hospital to be with his dad.
So happy birthday, Barry Bonds, and happy birthday to my son, Bake. Turns 32 today.
July 24th. Ball 1 to Brandon Crawford. Bonds hit that home run against a guy who really was with the Diamondbacks that year. He was the Barry Bonds guy. Teams in the division had to have a Barry Bonds guy in those days. Mike Myers, and he was pretty good too.
He was real good.
He was a sort of a Javier Lopez kind of a guy. Crawford, left center. Big turn at first, and he'll stop there as Burns fires into the infield.
Yeah, Chavez right back in his stretch. Well, 3 lucky fans are going to win $1,000 tonight with NBC Bay Area's triple pay giveaway. It's easy. Just download the NBC Bay Area app for iPhone, open to get the code, then tap the screen to enter at NBCBayArea.com/contest. Don't miss your chance to win $1,000. Enter NBC Bay Area's triple pay giveaway right now before the game ends.
Gregor Blanco. Giants have 4 hits in the game. 4 hits from the first 7 batters, and Crawford dives safely back. Butler holding on the bag with him.
Roger Craig, who was really a great pitcher and a great pitching coach, along with being a tremendous manager, would always encourage you. When you had a long inning, you were going back out the next inning, get that first guy out, stay out of the stretch. And from an offensive standpoint, when you can do what Crawford did, put Chavez right back in the stretch after a long inning, that's when good things start to happen for the offense.
It was a very long first inning. 34 pitches. There's that low strike on the outside. 1 ball, 1 strike to Blanco. Jake Peavy on deck. 2-0 Giants. Buster Posey and Hunter Pence had first inning RBIs to give the Giants the lead. Vogt gives the target on the outside again. Change up in the dirt. 2-1. Giants in that first inning, Matt Duffy had an 8-pitch at bat. On the 8th pitch, he singled. That really set up the inning for the Giants. And then Buster Posey came up next. He had a 10-pitch battle with Chavez, and on the 10th pitch hit the sacrifice fly to knock in the first run. There goes Crawford, a high foul down the right field line. And if the fan caught it. Look at that.
Commando. There's a few high fives. All right, take a look. Kind of watching it into his hands. Job well done.
Crawford back to the bag. What is that? Is it Butler's? Is his back pocket just inside out, or?
Yeah, the lining of the pocket just pulled out. A lot of guys do it on purpose. It's a superstition.
That's a pretty good save by Stephen Vogt on a ball way inside. Blanco hopping away, trying to avoid being struck in the foot.
That's a great play. He gets a lot of bare hand on this. Watch his throwing hand as he comes up. I mean, that's blocked almost entirely by the bare hand.
Now that's focus.
It is. And, you know, you just saved your team 90 feet.
I'm blocking this ball no matter what. 3-2. There goes Crawford. And it's ball 4. So the walk puts 2 men on for the Giants, and that is a great scenario for Peavy with nobody out to go up and try and lay down a bunt. Although Jake, he hit a base hit and thought about turning it into a double the other day in Arizona. He had one of those real long at bats, and he finally, I think, what was it, got a hanging curveball and kind of slapped it right past the first base bag.
Now, ideally, this should go down the third base line, but Billy Butler, the first baseman for the A's, he does not have a good throwing arm. So, from Peavy's perspective, he could go the first base side, and it's easier.
Well, he did well on that one, and Chavez did well just to get the throw to the bag as he was falling over. He slipped as he tried to put the brakes on. The second baseman Zobrist covering. So well done by Peavy on the very first pitch to move the runners to third and second.
No, you're right. First pitch bunts really add to the momentum of an inning. But the point you make about Chavez, as we look at great skills, right? Put that bat hit at the top of the strike zone. Anything below that, bunt it. It's easy to get on the ground, but watch the feet give away. Almost looked like Chavez twisted his ankle and somehow gets a throw off to get the out of first. This is a nice play right here. That is ad-libbed athleticism. Strike.
Truly, it was probably more shocking that he put it right there than if he'd thrown it down the right field line. The infield comes in for Pagan, and that is called a strike. Pagan checks with Rayburn about it. You're sure that was a strike?
We haven't seen any high strikes tonight. You normally won't with Rayburn's strike zone. Pure strikeout situation for Chavez.
1 ball, 1 strike. Pagan started that 2-run first inning with a single. You see the wind blowing straight out towards center field. Banners out there representing all of the Giants World Series championships. The flare into left field, a base hit. Crawford scores. Blanco, who didn't start right away, wanted to make sure that it was going to fall in, stops at third, and Pagan just a little flip to left for an RBI single. 3-0 Giants.
And that leadoff hitter, Brandon Crawford, comes around to score.
So now Joe Panik, who popped up to third his first time, actually popped it up in the third baseman. Laurie caught it climbing up the front side of the pitcher's mound. Pagan at first took a false step. That's plenty deep enough to get Blanco home. Burns with the catch, and here comes Blanco with run number 4.
Great at bat. Chavez trying to get in that strike zone early, get a quick strike. Got a ball up, and that's all you're looking for. And for Joe Panik, one of his real strengths is as a hitter is his ability to protect between the belt and the letters. You put something up there, he's going to hurt you. Nice at bat.
The Giants have had 2 sacrifice flies in this game already. Getting that runner home from third with less than 2 down. So here is Matt Duffy, who singled on the 8th pitch of his battle with Chavez in the first. Pagan at first, 2 down. Called a strike. Giants have now hit 22 sacrifice flies for the year. He chased a ball and a strike. That was the 51st pitch thrown by Jesse Chavez, and we're only in the 2nd inning. Buster Posey is on deck. Matt Duffy hitting .299 in his official rookie season. Do they have some of the good stuff?
I think they do. At least they have 1 can of it.
And some food. And that is called strike 3. And Duffy was not too happy about that call. Giants had 2 more runs. They lead 4-0. Fake Jake Peavy back to work in the 3rd. property is your home for the most live sports. Hunter Cole. He's an outfielder / second baseman. This season he's played a little bit at Augusta, a lot more at San Jose, and now promoted to Double-A at Richmond. And in 87 games, he's got a .363 on-base percentage and .844 OPS. The last 7 games he's been especially hot, hitting .414 with the Richmond team. He's only 22 years old, a 26th round selection. But remember that name, Hunter Cole. It looks like maybe he can play. Not many guys start at Augusta and by midseason are already up in Double-A ball.
That's a fact. You jump one level, that's doing something. You jump two, all of a sudden, hey, got a player.
Sam Fold. Well, Peavy did not get that call. Duffy was a little upset. The pitch on which he got called out looked to be several inches off the outside to end the second inning. Called a strike on the outside. 2-2. Willie Mays. That's not the man himself, but somebody who likes to honor the Mays jersey. 3-2, so another close one.
Well, and if anything, Rayburn's consistent. I mean, that's the second time he tried to backdoor breaking ball, and both times he did not get it.
Along the left field line, Blanco. Nope. Well, you get really close to the sidewall right there, and you can get hurt.
Well, it's such a difficult play because you have to take your eye off the ball to find out where the wall is. And in the end, just runs out of room. He doesn't look happy about it. I mean, he is very aggressive, and he will take on a wall behind him and to his right.
That ball is smoked into right field. Into the fourth archway. Pence juggled that carom just a bit. And a wild slide into second.
What was that?
Whoa. Safe at second. I hope. He's safe. I don't know if he's still alive or not.
Well, it lit up the A's bench. All right, let's take a look at the slide. I'm going to dive.
Well,
I'm going to. He kind of got in between thoughts there. Should I slide head first or this? The game will humble you.
He's really an excellent athlete, ladies and gentlemen. He's very graceful.
What is his teammates? Hey, yeah, we appreciate that. We practice it. That's good.
Nobody does that better than you, Sammy.
That is something that an umpire will make a comment about. The guys in the middle of the infield, they'll make a comment about it.
Jesse Chavez showing bunt.
He thought about going head first, and then halfway into it, he stopped, and then he had nowhere to go, but ugly.
Well, I'm glad he didn't seem. I'm glad he's not hurt. Right back to the mound, and Peavy, in his haste to go after the lead runner, neglected to pick up the ball and is fortunate to still have time to get the runner at first. So Fold moved over.
He'd have had a chance. Even with Sam Fold's great speed. I mean, if he fields this ball cleanly because of how hard it was bunted, I mean, Peavy is very quick with the feet. And he was putting himself in position to get off a throw, and he'd have taken it. And I think they had a shot to get him. He's turning around to try and get the feet in position, and he forgets to get the ball. But realizes he has time, barehands it, squares up, and does get the one out.
Joe Panic covering. So now runner at third, one out. The Giants ahead 4-0. Leadoff man, Billy Burns. That one cut right in under the hands, and he yanked it right over the Oakland dugout.
Giants taking away the bunt on the left side of the field with Duffy. He's playing in on the grass. Burns is I mean, he's a very difficult guy to strike out. Very compact, slappy type swing. Puts the ball in play.
Extremely fast runner. Oh, 2.
Well, she's got her Buster Posey jersey on. She's got her bow. And where do Gamer Babes come from? They come from Gamer Babes. She is about as cute as she can possibly be. Let's go, Mom and Dad.
Giants infield back normal depth. And the curve in the dirt blocked by Buster Posey, keeping Fold over at third base. Burns has the best batting average of any rookie in the American League right now and leads all American League rookies in hits, multiple hit games, runs. Wow. That was I had a little Pablo flashback there for a moment, and it looked like he might have hurt himself.
I think it bounces up and it hits him in the unhappy zone. He's going to need some time here. Watch the ball bounce up. That's bad. I mean, that's the last thing you're thinking you're going to do when you're getting in that batter's box. Hang in there.
Oakland's head trainer is Nick Paparesta.
2 balls, 1 strike. And they said that's what they saw. And they replayed it on their monitor right behind home plate.
Oh my God. Well, he's on his feet. We're glad to see that.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, he can have 20 minutes.
Bob Melvin, the Oakland manager, former Giants catcher, out there with Billy Burns, making sure he's okay. Maybe tell him, says, maybe next time don't swing at the pitch when it's about to bounce.
He's scuffling. I mean, he's an outfielder, and there are not a lot of outfielders that wear cups. They just don't. And he may be one of those guys. But right now, he is fighting it. Well, if you're Peavy, you got to throw one down and in again, right? Same pitch.
Same one. All right. It's going to continue. And the fans give him a round of applause.
Should get a standing ovation for that. That's awful.
Billy Burns, who's got to be on the list of candidates for American League Rookie of the Year, at least so far. He's batting here with a runner at third. With 2 strikes, the infield is backed up for the Giants. He's had 25 infield hits this year. He gets that run home. He went down for another low one and hit it hard. It wasn't as low, and he gets the job done. It's 4-1 Giants as Fold comes in to score.
Pretty impressive at bat right there. It's not easy with your eyes are crossed to go up there and put contact on the ball. And Peavy, Like you should. He went right back down there with the same pitch.
Well, we hope he's going to be okay.
Just needs time.
The 2 down here, Stephen Vogt. And I was very impressed with the empathy up here in the booth. Mike Krukow stood up and bent over at the waist for about 30 seconds after that.
I did.
That fastball, strike 2 called to Vogt, who flied out to center his first time. Just off the inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Meanwhile, in Arizona, where the Brewers who come in here on Monday night, have taken a 1-0 lead over the Diamondbacks on a home run by Ryan Braun in the 6th inning. His 18th home run this year. Out in right field, Joe Paddock throws out Vogt. Oakland gets a run back, 4-1. Posey, Pence, and Belt coming up.
Off of the Dugout Store Majestic Clubhouse. Giants pitcher George Contos and Giants alumni Jeffrey Leonard signed autographs for fans. Lucille gave high fives, and some fans even received autographed baseballs with their Giants purchases. Next time you're at AT Park, check out the Majestic Clubhouse. They have everybody's jersey in there. It is very cool.
Ball 1 to Buster Posey, who hit a sacrifice fly his first time. A 10-pitch battle with Jesse Chavez. Oh, he hits a soaring pop-up. Zobrist out. Burns in right behind him, and Zobrist catches it and falls over. He was as if he had planted himself for the catch and then had to go back still further.
Well, Dwayne Kuiper used to call it the pop-up dance when we were at Candlestick, and it kind of followed us over here to AT&T, and that was the pop-up dance.
Hunter Pence and the slider in there for a strike. Pence hit a double into the gap in left center with 2 down in the first inning to knock in the Giants' second run of the first. Fastball blew it right by him. 0-2. Giants 2 in the first and 2 more in the second. Chavez needs a quick inning. He threw 52 pitches in those first 2 innings. Brandon Belt on deck. Up the middle, base hit. He's 2 for 2. Giants baseball is brought to you in part by Toyota. The summer's biggest blockbuster isn't in theaters. It's Toyota's summer blockbuster sales event. Get blockbuster deals on every Toyota in stock now. Get a sneak preview at buyatoyota.com. I'm John Miller with Mike Krukow. Giants baseball on NBC Bay Area and the Giants television network. Belt fouls one off the fist back to the screen and hit the top of the screen and skipped into the stands.
Right in on his hands with that first pitch fastball. All right.
Belt hit a long home run in San Diego on Wednesday. And it had been a long time since he had hit one, long or not. Back into the second deck, off to the left, strike 2.
Hey, ice cream's here. Yep. Best ice cream on the planet right there.
1-2. That's always. You have friends who come in from out of town with kids. Take them down to Ghirardelli Square and you get the chocolate sundae or whatever. You can't go wrong with that.
No, you will be a hit.
That is a foul out of play off to the left. 1 ball, 2 strikes. My daughter, Michelle Palin, lives over in Alameda, and she took the ferry over here to AT Park tonight for the game with some friends. I think that would be a fun way to come to the game.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
A sea voyage to AT Park.
By land or by sea?
2-2 the count. Pence the runner at first. And he fouls that one back.
But that was one of the coolest things about this ballpark when they were building it, and they said they were going to do that. And it immediately caught your imagination. Hey, nice play. He brought his glove. Not bad.
It looked like he turned to the guy next to him. I told you I was going to catch one.
Made good on his promise.
Pence back to the bag at first. Pence had not done much base stealing. He's done a lot of healing this year. Opened the year on the disabled list, came back, and then had to go back on the DL. In the dirt, blocked by Vogt. Good job keeping Pence at first.
Yeah, man, got a little bare hand as well. I mean, he's really had some tough pitches to block tonight. He's done a nice job of doing it. The higher the bounce, the tougher it is for a catcher to gauge. I think they've got him on the wrist.
The shortstop, Sogard, playing almost right up the middle for Brandon Belt. So we'll keep an eye on Pence. He might be running with 1 out. There he goes. Left center field. There is Fold. And Pence will have to turn around and go back to first. So Belt, that was quite a battle. Belt 8 pitches before he succumbs. 2 down. And Brandon Crawford. Crawford singled his first time. There's a boatload of people. The Frida B. And she's got, man, she got all the flags going, including a World Series championship flag at the top of the mast there. Changeup. That fooled him. 0-1.
He's had that good changeup. Not many guys have scored it up tonight. So you wouldn't mind being on the Frida B.
Doesn't that look like fun?
It does. Yeah. That looks like a lot of fun. It's a beautiful boat.
That's a classic. Oh, he did it again. Fooled him twice with it.
You know you have a good changeup when you can throw it as many times as you want, and the guy still can't get it timed. I mean, the guy who I thought had the best changeup that we ever saw that could do that was Trevor Hoffman, the great closer for the Padres, who will be in the Hall of Fame someday.
Fastball. Out behind second. Sogard to Zobrist for the force out on Pence. And that ends the inning. On to the fourth inning. Zobrist, Butler, Reddick coming up.
At the game this evening, FC Barcelona in the house, getting ready to play Manchester United tomorrow at Levi Stadium. They stopped by to meet some baseball players. They were on the field, they went to the clubhouse. All of them wanted a baseball. Gentlemen, they're the most successful sports team in the world. They won the treble last year. That consists of the UEFA Champions League, Spanish Cup, and La Liga. And gentlemen, they are the only team in modern history to win the treble twice. John and Mike.
FC Barcelona, that's a big-time, world-renowned sports franchise in town.
And those guys are in shape.
Depending on your position, you could run in a one full soccer match 7-8 miles.
Wow.
And at a moment's notice, you might have to sprint with everything you've got. And the game does not stop. Occasionally, if there's an injury, things like that, but you can't take a timeout just because all of a sudden everybody feels tired. And the substitution rules are the same as in baseball. You take a guy out, he's out. He cannot re-enter the game. Two and one the count to Ben Zobrist. Manchester United is, if anything, Manchester United is the most famous sports franchise in the world in terms of their gear and the amount of sales worldwide, that sort of thing, the popularity of that franchise. And Sir Alex Ferguson was here tonight at the dugout before the game. Sort of the Bruce Bochy, although he's retired now. He was the manager of Manchester United. And 11 championships.
Yeah, that guy right there's got 3. I'd like to add 8 more.
8 more to tie Alex Ferguson, then he can retire and he'll get knighted.
Yeah, he would.
Go to
in 9 different countries. Yeah, he's put those up on the wall. That'll get him in the Hall of Fame, we all believe. front door sinker, and I mean absolute paint. And then Zobrist heads back to the A's dugout. He gives up on this pitch and watch the movement come back inside corner. Bang. DJ Rayburn, thinking about it, says, yeah, why not? Grab some pie.
Here comes Billy Butler now with one out. It was a 7-pitch battle between Peavy and Zobrist. Butler hit a single his first time. Former Kansas City Royal. Called a strike at the knees.
He sees Peavy pretty well. He's a tough out for Jake Peavy. Real tough guy to jam. Very quick middle in.
Barcelona, by the way, some feel that in fact, I think probably most feel that the greatest player in the world plays for Barcelona. Lionel Messi. What a player. And I believe the stadium in Barcelona is called Camp Nou, N-O-U. Right to Joe Paddock. Plenty of time. Out number 2.
Well, Sunday, August 16th, is our first Los Gamers Day. Giant Spanish radio play-by-play announcer Erwin Higueros will host an exclusive Q&A session in both Spanish and English. Special guests include Roberto Kelly, Hensley Mullins, Joaquin Arias, Santiago Casilla, Tito Fuentes, and the guest of honor, Giants Hall of Famer, former Giant Juan Marichal. Your Los Gamers special ticket also includes a Juan Marichal t-shirt and a ticket to the Giants Nats game. You want tickets? Go to sfgiants.com/special events.
Tito Fuentes. And he's broadcasting the Giants games in Espanol with Erwin Higueros.
He is a breath of fresh air. Tito Fuentes walks into a room, it will absolutely light up. You can't help it.
I thought that he had been misquoted. There was a quote going around from Tito. And
Yeah.
He told me that he actually was not misquoted. And he started to explain what he meant. But he got hit by a pitch and he charged them out, got into a fight, got ejected from a game. They said, why would you do that? Why would you charge them out? He said, hey, he's playing with my livelihood. I have a family. I have 5 or 7 kids.
And he was not misquoted?
And I thought it was somebody, just trying to make it look bad or whatever. He says, no, here's the reason why I said that. Gave me a long explanation for it. Tito Fuentes. But he is fun, and he's funny and just a bundle of energy, that's for sure. Loves to be at the ballpark. 2-2 the count. Got in under the hands. Posey and Duffy both. It's Buster. That's a 3-up and 3-down inning. Blanco, then Peavy coming up. 4-1 Giants. Get great deals at McDonald's with the McD app. Download the McD app on your smartphone and get great deals at participating Greater Bay Area McDonald's. Visit McDapp.com. Blanco into center field, base hit, first pitch against Chavez, and that is not any longer Billy Burns. Sam Fuld has moved into center field, replacing Burns, and Mark Canha has gone into the game to play left field and will hit in Burns' leadoff spot. So we hope that Burns is going to be okay. He showed himself to be extraordinarily tough, and now they've taken him out, and hopefully just for precautionary reasons. Bunting foul is Peavy.
Well, we were watching him in the outfield after he went back out after the inning when he got hurt, and he was not comfortable. I'm sure he's sick to his stomach. So we hope that it's nothing too serious and that he's able to get back in the lineup tomorrow. Because that is every ball player's fear.
And he's just having a sensational rookie season. He's officially a rookie this year, in the same way that Matt Duffy is officially a rookie. Although Giants fans remember Duffy contributing to the World Series championship last October. 1 ball, 1 strike to Peavy. That was the 71st pitch thrown by Chavez. He's been a busy man tonight. Pagan, the leadoff hitter, is on deck. Oakland's third baseman Lowry, Brett Lowry, shallow at third, looking for the bunt. And that's too high. 2-1. Giants lead 4-1. They scored twice in the first, twice more in the second. Oakland got a run in the third. And back to the bag is Blanco. Laurie he's almost right in on top of Peavy over at third base. Jake having a long look at Roberto Kelly, the third base coach. There goes Blanco. The ball is swung on and bounced. It's in there. Sogard, the shortstop, looked at Zobrist, the second baseman, and both stopped going after it for a moment. And the Giants are set up nicely.
A little bit of an I got it, you take it right here, as Zobrist, the second baseman, had broke towards first base. He had to come back on the play. And I think when Sogard saw him moving in, he assumed he was going to make the play. And in the end, Sogard could not recover as the ball trickles into the outfield, sets up a first and third. So a nice job from Peavy to do what you're supposed to do in that butcher play, and that's put the ball on the ground up the middle.
So the Giants showing bunt, and then they do something else, and it works out beautifully. Here's Pagan, first and third, nobody out. Defensively, and that was a hit, no error charge there, but defensively that has been a real weak part of the Oakland game this year. The Athletics have made 85 errors this year. Just by comparison, the Giants have committed 48 errors. And the count is 2-0 to Pagan. So the defense has really hurt the Athletics this year. They are dead last in the American League in their fielding percentage. They've made the most errors by far in the league. Along the left field line, slicing into the crowd foul.
The end result of the first and third, nobody out, is that it becomes another stressful inning for Chavez. I mean, with 76 pitches on the night, I mean, he is throwing the majority of those pitches out of the stretch. And because of that, they start to get their bullpen going.
Fernando Rodriguez, a right-hander, has gone down to the right field bullpen to start throwing. Middle infield double play depth here in the fourth inning. And that's foul into the crowd down the right field line. 2-2 to Pagan. Pagan has singled in each of his previous at bats. He's 2 for 2 with a run batted in. He knocked in a run back in the second. Off the outside. 3-2. Big chop. Foul up the first base side.
Sweet hands. Billy Hayes picking that one up.
Is that a nickname of his that I wasn't aware of?
Well, he was a first-round pick with the Cubs when I was there, and he was one of our rookies that came up. And I mean, the very first day he walked in the big leagues, everybody wanted him to catch when you were throwing a pin. I mean, you were bringing a September call-up. He wasn't getting a lot of playing time, but he had great hands. Fantastic catcher.
Sweet hands.
Sweet hands, Billy Hayes.
That's a walk. And so it goes for Jesse Chavez on this night. That's his 80th pitch thrown in 3 innings plus. Nobody out yet in the 4th inning. He had a 34 pitch first inning, 18 in the second, 16 in the 3rd, and he hasn't gotten anybody out in this inning. He's thrown 12 more. And Bob Melvin up out of the dugout with Joe Panik coming up. The Giants with visions now, with the bases loaded, nobody out, of breaking this game open early. And Rodriguez, Fernando Rodriguez, will get the call. So an early exit for Jesse Chavez. 4-1 Giants. Bases loaded, nobody out. We'll be back. About the Giants, check out pregame live and postgame live before and after every Giants telecast on Comcast Sportsnet. Authentic Bay Area sports. Jake Peavy accelerated this inning when, instead of laying down a bunt after the leadoff single by Blanco, Blanco took off. Peavy brought the bat back after showing bunt, and he bounced a single. Now Fernando Rodriguez, after the subsequent hit by Pagan, or the subsequent walk to Pagan to load the bases, comes in.
Yeah, good stuff. 36 strikeouts against 9 walks in 28 innings. You're going to see a mid-90s fastball from a high 3/4 release. Big curveball and a cutter. Occasional changeup.
And Oakland right now, they don't want to fall way behind in this game. They're already down 4-1 with Blanco at third, Peavy at second, and Pagan at first. So the middle infield is double play depth. They'll exchange a run to try and limit the chances of a big inning. It's 1-1 to Panik. Every time Panik swings and misses, we're surprised.
Well, you're right. I mean, he is very difficult to strike out. He doesn't very often go out of the strike zone below the strike zone. And when you come at him, especially with the ball up, I mean, He will barrel it.
On the outside, 94 miles an hour, strike 2.
And that's what Rodriguez is pitching for right now. I mean, he's pitching for the strikeout.
One and 2 the count. And the big breaking ball bounced foul to the ball dude.
Our ball dude, Gonz Lopez, soccer coach. And that's Harlan Baylander. A couple of rookies tonight. Harlan from Elko, Nevada.
Off the outside, 2-2. Fernando Rodriguez started the year in the minor leagues. The Oakland AAA franchise is in Nashville now. Brought up May the 7th. He's faced the Giants before. He used to be with Houston before he came to Oakland. Back into the crowd. 2-2.
That's the panic button we've heard so much about. Gamer bib.
She's got everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Looking for the panic button.
Oh, there we go.
There it is.
All right, now they've pushed the panic button. Thank goodness. Just in time. 2-2. Oh, struck him out.
And he struck him out right across the letters. And that is rare, folks. But a big out for the Oakland A's. Set the outside target. Goes right through him with 94.
With one out, here's Matt Duffy. Now, if Oakland could get the double play, the Giants would not get any more runs on the board here. Great opportunity. Duffy has singled and struck out. Up the middle. Sogard to second, one. Zobrist to first. Double play. Beautifully started by Sogard with the backhanded flip, and the Giants come up empty. Still 4-1 after 4.
It's AT Park for a 4-game series, August 13th through the 16th, Saturday the 15th. First 40,000 fans will receive a 2-for-1 flight voucher from Virgin America. And on Sunday the 16th, the first 20,000 fans will receive a Juan Marichal replica statue courtesy of Coca-Cola. Get your tickets at sfgiants.com/tickets.
4-1 Giants as we head to the 5th inning. But we were sort of in a crossroads inning there in terms of Oakland's chances of coming back. The Giants had the base loaded, nobody out, and some of their best hitters and hottest hitters coming up. And Fernando Rodriguez came in from the bullpen, and he put a stop to it. The Giants did not score. So still 4-1 as Peavy back to work. And ball 1 to Brett Lawrie.
Well, I mean, that's the ultimate relief appearance right there from Fernando Rodriguez, to come out there with the bases loaded, nobody out, not allow anybody to score. And what that does is challenge Jake Peavy, because that's a momentum shifter in a ball game. And the way you get that back is you put up a 0 on the board and get your offense back into the dugout.
Two and 0 the count. And that's a foul out of play. Lawrie hit into a force play his first time. Dodgers won at New York earlier, 7-2. Giants began the day 3 games back of the Dodgers for first place in the National League West. Brandon Crawford. And there's one away. Did you see that? You know how they now have the StatCast at MLB.com, and they have started measuring things, you know.
Yes.
And one of the things they measured is the velocity of the throw from shortstop. And they determined that the guy who's throwing with the highest velocity on ground balls hit to him at shortstop is Brandon Crawford. About 78 plus miles per hour on average. Sogard takes a strike.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, he's got a cannon. High school quarterback.
Brandon Belt, and he'll take it himself. 2 down. Sogard, who hit into a double play to end the second, hits another ground ball to Belt. By the way, when Belt started that double play back in the second inning, it was the 11th time this year that Belt has started a double play. And that's number 1 among all National League first basemen. He started more than anybody else. And I think that's significant because you have to do a lot of things well to start a double play from that side. Sam Fold hit a double his first time.
Just missed on that outside corner. But really, Peavy really has had nice command tonight. When he's missed the strike zone, it has not been by much, down around the knees.
2-0.
But in regards to Belt, I mean, that stat right there just says he's not afraid to throw, and he throws well. And he does. It's one of his assets. He has a strong arm at first base.
Two and 1. Tomorrow, the day game at 1:05.
Yep.
Nobody's hit one out there so far tonight, but you never know.
Well, he's ready. Should one go in the water?
So what is that? Like an inflatable kayak? Shaped like a kayak or a canoe?
Hey, it's working. It's keeping them dry.
Hit softly, panic. And 2 down and 3 down to end the inning. 3 ground ball outs. Peavy has retired 9 in a row. Posey, Pence, and Belt
special night here at AT Park last night as a true who's who of Giants royalty joined friends and family of former Giants and A's broadcaster Lon Simmons to celebrate the Hall of Famer's career in life. Of course, it was emceed by our own John Miller, who talked about Lon, who passed away on Easter of this year at 91 years old. He was known for his baritone voice and sense of humor, but Giants president CEO Larry Baer added that Lon treated everyone with respect, ranked family first, and he never took anyone for granted. And John, I know it was a very special evening for you as well.
It truly was, because for those of us who grew up in that era, he and his great partner Russ Hodges, they taught us baseball and described the considerable exploits of Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, Cepeda, Marichal, the great Giants of that era, and made us all fans. A ball inside to Buster Posey, and Lon, of course, wasn't just with the Giants, but even before he started doing Giants games, he broadcast the 49er games. So, and he was one of the best I ever heard broadcasting NFL football on the radio. Was there a swing? No, says Joe West. Buster Posey with a count of 2-1. Buster down the right field line, and that's in there, base hit. Reddick will hold him to a single. Buster Posey with his first hit of the night. He had a sacrifice fly back in the first inning. Lon Simmons, who was here back in the days of Mays and McCovey, and also in the Barry Bonds era.
1-0, and hits it deep to center. That is way back, way back, way back. Tell it goodbye. Number 58, number 552.
58th home run of that epic season where Bonds would hit 73. And Barry Bonds and Lon Simmons, who, let's see if is DJ Rayburn okay? He needs a moment to put himself back together.
Well, when the ball hit Stephen Vogt's glove, he may have had some dirt on the glove, but something came off the glove and went into the eye of Rayburn. Just a little fragment of dust.
Strike one to Pence, who is 2 for 2. In the dirt from Fernando Rodriguez. 1 ball, 1 strike to count. But it was a great night there last night. And Robin Simmons, Lon's daughter, and a lot of the other family members, her sisters and uncles and nieces and nephews. 1-2 now to Pence. But Robin said, Lon was very sick, although when you talk to him, he still sounded like he always sounded, sharp, and always wanted to have a laugh. But she said it gave her a lot of joy to hear stories of Lon the way she remembered her dad. That ball gets away, and Posey takes second base. And that's really what the night was all about last night. It was a celebration of Lon's life. A lot of great stories about Lon. A lot of laughs. And there was a lot of laughter and a little bit of crying. And as the program said, tell him goodbye. And I think he was represented in style last night here at AT Park. 2-2 the count. That ball is hammered into the gap in right center field. It's going to roll through onto the warning track before Fold gets it. Posey scores a double for Pence. 5-1 Giants, and Hunter Pence is 3 for 3 with 2 doubles and 2 RBIs now.
It really has become a recurring theme since he's been activated off of the disabled list to go to right field. And he gets a breaking ball from Rodriguez, and it had a little height to it, and that's all he needed. And he goes right to right field, gets himself an RBI reward.
Buster Posey explaining it all to Matt Duffy as the A's make a pitching change, and we'll be back. Central every night at 10:30 p.m. Comcast Sportsnet, authentic Bay Area sports. The Athletics go to their bullpen again. The left-hander Eric O'Flaherty comes in now as Bob Melvin tries to hold the line here. It's 5-1 Giants, as Rodriguez did such an amazing job with the bases loaded, nobody out when he came in, and did not allow the Giants to score in that fourth inning. And now 2 batters into the 5th inning, they've gotten a run on him, and he's out of the game with Pence at second, nobody out. Belt the hitter.
Well, Flaherty's going to give you a fastball. It's right around 90 and a slider, changeup. I mean, he's got to be fine to his targets, and it really hasn't happened for him. He has struggled with that type of command. O'Flaherty has given up 37 base runners in 19 innings. I mean, and right-handers have just torched him, hitting over 400. Now, the Giants, the bottom of the line tonight, 6, 7, 8 hitters. You're going to see 3 left-handers, which is why Bob Melvin is bringing them in to face those lefties. O'Flaherty in his 8th year at the major league level. I mean, he was rebuilt. He had Tommy John, elbow surgery.
Well, he has had excellent numbers against left-handed hitters so far this year. He's been torched by right-handed hitters. Right-handed hitters have a .409 batting average against O'Flaherty so far this year, but the lefties have hit only 167 against him. So Melvin figured this is the ideal spot for him. Try and hold the line. And Belt especially has not hit well against lefties this year. 164 average for him. That's Pence at second with nobody out. Posey led off the inning with a single, and then Pence doubled to right center. Giants have 10 hits in this game. Sogard trying to keep Pence close at second. Down the right field line. That is off the base of the pillar between the first 2 archways. Pence will score, and Belt has a double. 6-1 Giants.
I don't think that Hunter Pence had a great read off the crack of the bat. kind of laid back. And once he saw that ball hit the base of the wall, it was off to the races. It turned out being an easy score for him, but that's a hanging slider. Middle in, right at the belt. And Brandon Belt takes advantage of it, as you're supposed to.
Brandon Belt with his first hit of the night, and it's a double against a lefty. 1 to Crawford. The 2 runs in this inning are both charged to the record of Fernando Rodriguez.
Watch the read from Hunter Pence. Ball in the air. Go back to back. They realize, okay, I got this. And then he kicks it in gear.
Strike 2 to Crawford.
Hunter Pence off the crack of the bat, go back to back, thinking he's going to tag with nobody out. I mean, that's the way you read it, but with his speed, not a problem. Once he saw that ball hit the base of the ground, despite the strong arm from Riddick in right field.
Crawford 1 for 2 in the game with a run scored. Still 0-2.
Chowder and a soup and a bread bowl. What do you think?
Chowder and a bread bowl, a sourdough bread bowl. That's a San Francisco classic.
Yes, it is. Comes with a kiss.
Just got a piece of it. Hangs in there. This is the spot where Brandon Crawford has been so reliable these last couple of years, and maybe it kicked in more in the second half last year than the first half. He's hitting .333 this year with his at-bats when there's a runner at second or third or both, which we call scoring position. And he has 59 RBIs this year. The top 10 in the league in RBIs. That was a foul that got on a piece of the leg of Stephen Vogt.
It gets him just above the right shin guard. Now again, it hits him low in the heel of the glove. He gets handcuffed by that. He may have been crossed up. That hurt.
We get that super slow-mo that shows it all right there. Leads all major league shortstops with 59 RBIs. And Chris Spire was the last San Francisco Giants shortstop to have the most RBIs of all shortstops. That was back in 1973.
One of my favorite teammates ever, Chris Spire. Great baseball man. Learned a lot from Chris Spire.
Belt at second, nobody out. 1-2. Blanco on deck. 2 runs in for the Giants. They lead 6-1 here in the 5th inning. Chris Spire wore number 35 when he came up to the Giants, just as does Brandon Crawford.
Hey, nice play. Gave her babe, brought her glove. It's like a Spalding. Oh yeah. Girls' night out on Orange Friday.
Crawford hanging tough here against O'Flaherty. Now Crawford, unlike Belt, has hit pretty well against the lefties this year. .297 for the season, coming into play tonight against left-handed pitching. Although that average has been going down lately. 6 runs, 11 hits for the Giants. 2 runs in here in the inning. Along the left field line, Canna, and it's out of play. Mark Canha, the former Cal star, into the game when Billy Burns had to leave.
A lot going on in the booth down there in right field. Hey, it's Friday night.
That's the Virgin America sort of party suite down there.
Yeah.
By the foul pole.
Got the good attitudes on.
Brandon Belt at second. Sogard, the shortstop, playing over behind him, trying to keep close. And he did strike him out there. No foul ball. And that is the first out of the inning. So he did get Crawford eventually.
Well, that's what he's pitching for. Runner at second base, nobody out. You're trying to get that strikeout. So persistence with good breaking balls, and he finally gets Crawford to chase.
By the way, we did get word from the Oakland clubhouse as to why Billy Burns had to be taken out of the game. I'm just going to read this verbatim the way they announced it from the clubhouse. He left with a testicular contusion. We hope he's going to be okay. Here is Blanco, who has walked and singled, and he takes a called strike.
A's are going to respect the bunt on both sides of the infield, with Laurie at third, Burns at first. But I don't really think that they thought he was going to bunt, but you have to respect it. This was the third inning when Billy Burns had the foul ball that came up and hit him in a very bad spot, and he was immediately very uncomfortable. And as the inning ended, I mean, he went out there and tried to play through it, and he just couldn't.
Two strikes to Blanco along the left field line and into the Giants bullpen area and into the crowd. Two strikes to count to Gregor Blanco, who is hitting .303, .381 on base percentage. You really can't overstate the importance of Blanco to the Giants ball club. He's added that depth and has been a key man year after year. A check swing, no swing, says the third base umpire, Rob Drake. So it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
He really has been a great Giant, and I think he's enjoying his finest year average-wise. And I think what he has done this year is take some tips from Nori Aoki about how to use your hands a little differently in your approach at the bat. And it's really paid big dividends for him.
Softly, Zobrist, and over to third goes Brandon Belt. So 2 down, and now Jake Peavy will try and get Belt home. Well, those pence, they won't go away, those pence on the fence dolls.
No. Now, the first time they broke these pence on the fence dolls out there in right field, Hunter Pence hit an opposite field grand slam. So they're thinking it's good mojo. He's got 3 hits tonight. I'm starting to believe in him. Just don't stick any pins in him.
Jake Peavy, who got a base hit his last time. He's also had a sacrifice bunt. Peavy now with 2 hits and 10 at bats for the year. 6-1 Giants. The Athletics bullpen is going to start working again. Laurie at third. In the dirt, and it goes right by Butler. And that gives a run away to the Giants. And I know the A's have had altogether too many of those this year. That is the 18th error committed by Laurie. So that's just a giveaway of a run.
It's a short hop that Billy Butler just cannot come up with over at first base. I mean, the ball stays down, and he brings his glove up thinking it's going to come up. It never does. So a really rough error as the Giants score and the inning extends. Looked like it hit the cut of the grass and flattened out on Butler.
I think that's exactly what happened. That was a good shot.
I mean, I'm thinking Billy Butler is feeling now. I've got this one, not a problem. Hits the cut of the grass, flattens out, and never comes up.
3 runs have scored in the inning. 7-1 Giants. That's the first Oakland error of the game, the 86th of the year. And Pagan, a line drive base hit to left. Pagan, who has hit much better as a right-handed hitter this year. With that hit, he's hitting about 350, batting right-handed, and that's his 3rd hit of the night and the 4th straight time he's been on base. He's also had a walk. And here comes Joe Panic. A's have had a lot of trouble with errors on their infield, and they brought in Ron Washington, former Texas Rangers manager who managed against the Giants in the 2010 World Series.
I know who the most valuable player is in that group.
Who is it?
The gal who brought the 12-pack back to the troops. Yeah, game to bed.
Two men on, 2 men out. Panic. He might have broken his bat on that. And he's thrown out by Zobrist, and the inning is finally over. 8 Giants come to bat. 3 of them score. And we head to the 6th inning. 7-1 Giants.
We go back to June 13, 2008. A's taking on the Giants here in San Francisco, and Omar Vizquel has a straight steal of home. Timed it perfectly, and it's the last straight steal of home that the Giants have had. Yep, it'll make you smile. And we enjoyed our time with Omar Vizquel. Ram 1500 is Green Journal's 2015 Green Truck of the Year. Guts, Glory, Ram. Visit ramtrucks.com to learn more.
Was that a guy named Smith, left-hander? Greg Smith or something like that? And he had a great move to first base, but Vizquel read that he wouldn't pay that much attention to guys at third base, and he thought he could do it, and he was right. The Athletics bat now in the 6th inning with Jake Smolinski pinch hitting for O'Flaherty. And then the top of the order to follow. Canna now in the leadoff spot. And Vogt hitting third. And Peavy down and away. Peavy with a 6-run lead now. Jake Smolinski, who with the Athletics is hitting .438. He's had 16 at bats and 7 hits and 2 home runs and a triple. He's done a lot in 16 at bats.
You know, that play from Omar Vizquel, though, it just shows you what a veteran ball player, a base runner, will look for. He looks for keys when pitchers oftentimes will start their motion.
Pagan, shallow center, and Pence right alongside, but it's Pagan. And that is out number 1.
Now watch the pitcher as he starts to get ready. He'll lower his head and he'll get started. And that's the tip that Vizquel was looking for. You watch him from third base. The head lowers and off he goes. That was the key. That was the tell that allowed Vizquel to get that great jump. And that's something that an experienced base runner will find. As soon as that head lowered, I mean, he had no chance. It's just a little timing mechanism that he had that really put him at a disadvantage, and Vizquel used it to exploit it against him.
Just off the outside to Canna. Canna, born in San Jose, went to Bellarmine Prep, and then to Cal over in Berkeley. Canna with 8 home runs, 33 batted in, and .296 on base average. Two and one.
Yeah, he was trying to hit one to Berkeley right there. You know what, though? Hey, if you have power in your bat, you have a 2-0 count, why not?
Take a shot.
Absolutely.
The Athletics have a right-hander, Castro, warming up in their bullpen. So he'll be coming on in the last of the 6th. 7-1 Giants. Off the inside. 3-1 to Mark Canna. Canna was signed originally by the Marlins back in 2010 in the 7th round. And the Rockies picked him up in the Rule 5 draft. Right to Pagan, and 2 down. Giants baseball is brought to you in part by PG&E. PG&E, together we're building a better California. So 2 down, and here is Stephen Vogt.
Hey, Reggie Jackson's here.
Reggie. Reggie, who was number 9 with the Oakland Athletics. They signed him originally. And that was the early days of the draft. And the A's were in Kansas City, and they had some bad ball clubs, but they had early draft choices. They signed guys like Rick Monday and Reggie Jackson and Sal Bando. They ended up with a lot of very good players. It became the core of one of the all-time great teams. Won 3 consecutive World Series in the early 70s. Peavy knocks it down, takes his time, and that is a 3-up, 3-down inning. Peavy has retired 12 in a row. Duffy, Posey, Pence coming up. Monterey Bay Aquarium, what's in the water? Brought to you by the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Dance, dash, and dive into summer with thousands of synchronized sardines in the open sea exhibit. Share the amazing, share the love at MontereyBayAquarium.org/love. It's my wife, Janine, with some friends visiting from back east, and she took them down to the Monterey Bay Aquarium the other day.
It's a great place.
Angel Castro is on to pitch for the Athletics. Castro from the Dominican Republic, 5 feet 11 inches tall, very stockily built, and Matt Duffy leads off against him. Duffy 1 for 3 in the game, and that's a ball too low at 93 miles an hour.
Got a good fastball, kind of a high 3/4 short armor. I mean, he's a 32-year-old rookie, and this guy's been around the world. Look at his path to the big leagues; it's pretty impressive.
Right to the shortstop, Sogard. Duffy out number 1. Here's Buster Posey. Buster knocked in the Giants' first run of the night, and he battled and battled and battled against Jesse Chavez before he was able to get it done. The 10th pitch of the plate appearance is the one on which he finally knocked in Pagan from third with a fly ball. That is a foul ball. Just kicked foul at the last moment. Buster Posey has also popped out to second, and then he led off the 5th inning with a single that started a 3-run rally. Posey hitting .319 for the year.
Castro made his major league debut this past May, and he's been sent back a couple times.
Another base hit for Buster. Buster Posey, who is 67 runs batted in, tied with Giancarlo Stanton, who's currently on the disabled list with Miami. Only Paul Goldschmidt of the D-backs and Nolan Arenado of the Rockies, with more RBIs in all of the National League than Buster. But here's Hunter Pence. Pence has hit 2 doubles and a single. He's knocked in 2 runs. 0-1. Pence's average is up above 300. The Giants came into the game as a team hitting .271. And the only team with a higher team batting average than that is the Colorado Rockies, .272. Great save by Foot. I don't know how he saved that one. Took a big bounce to his right, and he still was able to corral it.
He's done some amazing things behind the plate with blocks tonight. Here's another one. Big breaking ball, kind of a scud. Another one he catches off the bare hand. His right hand has really taken a beat tonight. And that's really the only way he could stop that ball. The ball really came up at a high bounce. I mean, it's, catching a ball with your bare hand.
One and one to Pence. And 1-2. Giants have scored the 2nd highest total of runs in the National League, or had at the start of the night. Sogard. Oh, he called him out, and I don't know.
Billy Hayes just gave the sign. He lifted his cap up, or his helmet, to let Bruce Bochy know they need to take a look at this one.
Well, maybe did they get him?
I don't think they did.
The ball's got to be in the glove before his foot hits the bag. Anything else, if it's not there before his foot hits the bag, then he's safe. So the Giants are going to ask the umpires in New York And you don't have that much to lose right now. It's the 6th inning. You have the one appeal for the replay review in the first 6 innings. And then it's up to the umpires after that.
Well, and you know what? You have to fight for your guy. Pence already has 3 hits on the night. This would make it a 4-hit night for him. I mean, it's extremely close, but I don't think that the ball was in the grasp of the mitt. I think this is the one that's most telling. I think he beats it.
Yeah, I mean, is he a quarter of an inch above the bag? Is he? But then he has the spikes, so I don't know.
Well, that's what they're going to try and determine back in New York. But this absolutely could go either way.
And they have to find compelling evidence that the call was wrong to overturn it. That it's always a key as to what it gets called in the first place. And he's safe. And it's a 4-hit game for Hunter Pence. Pence, who in each of the last 2 years with the Giants, finished up. It's the 15th time in his career that he's had a 4-hit game. As you see there, the last time was at the end of August last year against the Brewers. But he also, in each of his last 2 years, had nearly 25 or around 25 infield hits each year. 1-1 to Brandon Belt. Giants have 14 hits all told in this game.
His 26th double of the season. Only one guy in the league has more than him. That's Todd Frazier with the Reds.
Frazier hit another double tonight in Denver. All those pitches almost to the same spot. That one he had a little extra, 95 miles an hour, and Belt could not catch up to any of it. So 2 down. Here's Brandon Crawford, who has singled, grounded into a force play, and struck out.
Another RBI opportunity for Brandon Crawford.
Ball 1. They're in the last of the ninth in Arizona. Milwaukee is holding a 2-1 lead over the Brewers. And that game just ended. Milwaukee won it. The Brewers beating the Diamondbacks in Arizona. 2-1 over the D-backs. And there's the run that they got. They scored their only run in that ninth inning. Did the D-backs. San Diego hosting Miami down at Petco Park meanwhile. 3-0 the count to Crawford. It is 3-1 Padres in the top of the ninth inning. And Petco and Craig Kimbrell is in trying to save that one. That one's over. It's been posted now. 3-1.
Crawford taking that 3-0 pitch. He will take no more.
Posey at second, Pence at first, 2 down.
You know, there's a certain point in a ball game where it's not. I think it violates the unwritten rule about swinging at a 3-0 pitch. And it's a 7-1 ball game, and you're right on that line. Where if you do take a hack at a 3-0 pitch, you know the team's going to take offense to it. Crawford did the right thing.
Shallow left, and here's Canna. And the Giants are retired. They strand 2 against Castro. Zobrist, Butler, and Reddick, the 3, 4, 5 spots coming up for Oakland against Jake Peavy.
You can do that with MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At bat is up to the moment with live in-game highlights. You can go to MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet right now.
Inning number 7. Jake Peavy has thrown 87 pitches in the first 6 innings. And there's ball 1 to Ben Zobrist. Zobrist 0 for 2 in the game, and Peavy has struck him out both times. Zobrist for many years with the Tampa Bay Rays and on some excellent Tampa Bay teams. And he's a guy who was really a Gold Glove caliber second baseman for Tampa Bay, but he could play shortstop, he could play third base, he could play the outfield, and he was excellent at all those positions. Generally had an excellent on base percentage. Not a guy who hit 300, not big numbers. He had some power. And the count now 1 ball and 2 strikes. But when you look at this Oakland ball club, years ago, the Athletics had a guy, Tony Phillips, who could play almost everywhere. And he really kind of blossomed big time later on in his career when he was with the Detroit Tigers. But he played every day, but always seemingly somewhere different. And it wasn't unusual for him to have around a 400 on base percentage and hit with some power. And there were several guys who had some big RBI totals, but Tony Phillips was hitting in front of him. Guys like Cecil Fielder with Detroit, and then later on Frank Thomas, and Julio Franco with the White Sox when Phillips played there.
Well, I thought the 1-2 punch that the A's had in 1989 when the Giants signed the World Series with Ricky Henderson and Tony Phillips, the best 1-2 punch I ever saw. Start a ball game. Good luck with that. They were tough.
Ricky Henderson, maybe make a case for him being the top leadoff man in baseball history, because he had the combination. There's a Ricky jersey where he got on base all the time. You make a mistake and he'd hit a home run, and he had the most leadoff homers by far in the history of the game. Zobrist hits that one well, high and deep, still going. It is gone, a home run, and it bounces into the water. Sixth home run of the year for Ben Zobrist.
That 7th inning has just kind of been a problem inning with the long ball for Peavy. I don't know what the significance of it is, but hey, Dave got the ball. All right, let's take a look at it from the splash can. 3-2 fastball challenge, 7-1 lead. You're not going to walk him. And Zobrist, for the 6th time this year, gets a free pass around the bag.
1-1 to Billy Butler, who has singled and grounded out. Hunter Strickland has started to throw in the Giants bullpen. Peavy's last start was when the Giants were still in Arizona. Oh, I beg your pardon. George Cantos warming up in the Giants bullpen. But Peavy gave up a home run in the 7th inning in that his last start to Cliff Pennington, a pinch hitter. 2-2. Well, Oakland traded one of its top starters this week. Scott Kazmir traded to Houston. And a lot of people think that Zobrist could be traded before much longer. The Giants tried to get Zobrist themselves in the offseason.
Well, he's a super utility guy and gives you a great at bat. He's just a good professional player.
Into center field, that's a base hit. He was unable to put Butler away here in the 7th inning.
You know, Zobrist is one of those guys that seems like every year around the trade deadline he gets mentioned a lot. It just has followed him around his whole career.
Giants general manager Bobby Evans had a story. He spent so much time on the phone with the Tampa Bay people trying to acquire Ben Zobrist. You know, he had him on speed dial. They'd call him, he'd call them back. They had long conversations as Bochy comes out. He says finally they kind of shut that down at Christmas. He sat and watched a movie on TV with his wife, and it was a baseball movie. And Ben Zobrist played a major league player in this baseball movie, and he's like, "Are you kidding?" So that's going to be all for Jake Peavy. He departs, and George Cantos will come in, and a big ovation for Jake Peavy. His 4th start since coming back to the disabled list, and his 4th very strong start. He leaves with a 7-2 lead. Jake Peavy. And Peavy would like to have gone deeper, and he seems to be puzzled as to why things worked out the way they did here in the 7th inning.
Well, he should be very critical of how he pitched tonight. He was fantastic. I think the key for him coming into tonight's ball game was to establish the knees early, and he did. And it was a tight strike zone tonight, a very consistent one, but a tight one nevertheless. A lot of strikes that could have been borderline that he didn't get. I think he would really, in reviewing his outing tonight, is going to be very happy how he's throwing. Giants will be. Meanwhile, it's George Cantos who takes the ball now 46 times, 2-1 with a 1.54 ERA. He has been spectacular all year.
Called a strike to Josh Reddick, who has singled and fouled out to the catcher. Runner at first, nobody out. 7-2 Giants here in the 7th inning.
Cantos' specialty has been getting inherited runners and not allowing them to score.
That is just fouled.
Reddick was not fooled on that slider. Cantos on the year has inherited 26 runners, and not one of them has scored.
Now that's a good teammate.
That is a good teammate.
He is saving everybody else's earned run average. That's why earned run average for a reliever anyway is kind of difficult to grade a guy strictly on earned run average when he's a relief pitcher.
Well, it's been something the Giants bullpen has done so well with this year. I mean, Javier Lopez has inherited 40 runners and 5 have scored. Hunter Strickland has inherited 11. He's allowed 1 to score. Yusmeiro Petit has inherited 21, 5 have scored. I mean, those are good numbers. Affeld, 17 inherited runners, 1 has scored.
Foul ball, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And I think that's it. Those are key stats, because a guy can look like he's doing a great job and putting up great numbers, but not. It doesn't read on his record if he's given up other people's runs when he first comes into a game. And a relief pitcher does not get credit for preventing, other than, I mean, they keep that stat.
Well, I think baseball has really evolved with the way they keep stats, and it definitely highlights the intricacies of a great year, and I think that's one stat that definitely is important to relievers. It's important to teams. It's important to starters, or whoever it is that is leaving those runners on when those guys come out of the bullpen. It's very cool what's happened in baseball over the years with statistics.
Two and two.
Yep, got her Friday night hat on, got her glove. She's just waiting for a chance to make a play. Angel Pagan made sure that this little one had a ball between innings.
That one got a piece of Buster Posey, it appeared. 2 and 2. Going to give Buster a few moments to shake off the pain from that one.
They definitely got together on the phone about what they were going to wear. And so did they.
I like those. Pagan on the move into the left center field gap. 1 away. That was an 8-pitch battle between Cantos and Reddick.
Well, how good was Jake Peavy tonight? He was very, very good. Late movement on his slider, on his sinker, put the ball on the ground, really putting the ball in play. And this was him at the plate. Showed bunt. Butcher Boy set up a first and third and lead to a 3-run inning for the Giants. Actually, it didn't. That's when he had a bunt that was an error, or a ground ball that was an error. That was the 3-run inning. Nevertheless, good at bat.
That one got by Buster to the backstop, and Butler moves over to second base with Brett Lawrie at the plate.
The other thing too is with Peavy coming back, every start he has looked stronger. He is definitely going to feel good about this. Cardinals have a little trouble with that breaking ball right now, throwing some scuds up there. He's got Buster Posey doing the scud dance.
Lawrie has grounded out twice in this game. 0 for 2. Runner at second with 1 out. And the outside for a called strike. Padres have won. They beat Miami. The D-backs lost to Milwaukee in the desert. The Dodgers won 7-2 over the Mets. And Colorado was a winner at home against Cincinnati, the other teams in the National League West. The Giants are leading in their interleague matchup with the Oakland Athletics, 7-2 here in the 7th inning. A run is in, and there's a runner at second base. A little bit low. 3-1.
Just 2 more games active right now. The Seattle-Toronto game at the top of the ninth in Seattle, with Mariners leading that ball game, and this one.
With some huge pitch counts early. Jesse Chavez threw 3 innings plus and threw 80 pitches for the Athletics. That's in there. The cutter, and the count is 3-2. Third base and thinking about making a play on Butler, it appeared, and then dropped the ball, and everybody's safe.
Well, I believe had he been able to make the exchange glove hand to bare hand, he would have had a shot. I mean, nice spear job, just could not get a grip. I mean, Butler makes really a bad play here with the ball hit in front of him. You know, you're never supposed to run to third base. And remember, Butler didn't have a whole lot of speed, but if you're a runner at second, that ball's hit in front of you, you're supposed to freeze. I think he thought that ball was going to left field. He was surprised Crawford caught that ball.
So here's Eric Sogard. And a base hit into right field. And that brings home Butler with the first inherited runner allowed to score this year against George Cantos, and it is 7-3. The Giants are going to get more action going in their bullpen. That run is also charged to Jake Peavy. First time it's happened this year. It was going to happen at some point. And the wild pitch contributed to it as well.
So Javier Lopez down the Giants bullpen, starting to heat up a bit. And Dave Righetti going to just wait till plate umpire DJ Rayburn comes out and shoos him away off the mound. Well, the high pitch counts could definitely take its toll on defenses. You're out there on your legs a lot. Got a lot of pitches in this game for both teams now.
Peavy threw 100 in his 6 innings plus. Well, Oakland now is envisioning a comeback. 2 runs are in. They have 2 men on. And Sam Fuld, the hitter. 1-1. Looks like Fernando Abad, the left-hander, is up in the Oakland bullpen. First inherited runner to score against Cantos this year. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fuld hit a double back in the 3rd inning and scored Oakland's first run, and then he grounded out his next time. He chased. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Nice little 2-seam fastball with movement running away from the left-handed hitting Fuld.
There is Hunter Strickland going down to the pen. Marcus Semien is out on deck for the Athletics. With the pitcher due up next. Did he swing? Yes, he did. And that's all for Sam Fuld. 2 down. Plate umpire Rayburn made the call himself.
Oh yeah, easy to call.
Marcus Semien, who had been with the White Sox, acquired by the Athletics in the offseason. Semien hitting .256 with 8 home runs, a .301 on base percentage, but he's had a huge error total, 28 errors committed. Ball 1. Giants saw him in spring training, and his first at bat of the spring, he hit a home run against the Giants, and then his second at bat he hit another one. And I think he hit another one later in the spring, right at the end of the spring against the Giants. Check swing and a foul. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I got to believe that is exactly what he's trying to do in this at bat. Bob Melvin looking for some lightning right here, down 4 runs.
Well, if he got a hold of one, he'd make it a 1-run game. Semien, who is a Bay Area product, another guy out of Cal. Buster blocks that one in the dirt. 2 balls and a strike. Semien went to St. Mary's High School over in Berkeley, graduating in 2008, then went to the University of California at Berkeley. Helped Cal get to the College World Series in 2011. Actually born in San Francisco, lives in the offseason in El Cerrito, and now year-round. Crawford, they get 1 to end the inning. Panic covering at second with a force out on Sogard. 7-3 Giants. We go to the last of the 7th.
segment, and it is all about jersey numbers being sold. Major League Baseball announced the best-selling player jerseys for the first half of the 2015 season, and 3 of the top 10 best-selling jerseys belong to the Giants, with Madison Bumgarner leading the pack, Posey in third, Pence with the 6th best-selling jersey. The summer's biggest blockbuster isn't in theaters. It's Toyota's summer blockbuster sales event. Get blockbuster deals on every Toyota in stock now. Get a sneak peek preview at buyatoyota.com. Gentlemen.
Number 1. How about that? That's another stat we didn't even know they used to keep.
Fernando Abad comes on for Oakland. Abad, who had just a fabulous year for the Athletics last season. They had picked him up from Washington, and he was among the toughest left-handed relievers in the American League last year, a 1.57 ERA. But he has not had the same success this year. Last year, 57 in the third innings, 34 hits allowed. And he has come back to earth this year. 0-1 the count to Blanco.
He's got good stuff. I mean, you're going to see low to mid-90s with the fastball, 2 types of movement, curveball, slider, changeup. I mean, the stuff you would see from a starting pitcher, you're going to see from Abad. 2 good breaking balls, curveball and slider both.
Giants leading 7-3. Strike 2. Abad has not been nearly as effective against lefties this year. Lefties have hit 278 against him. It's the righties that he's done better against this year, who are hitting 162 versus Abad. He's got sort of that what they call a reverse split lefty-righty. Joaquin Arias is out on deck for the Giants with the pitcher. Cantos due up next. And a nice pick there by Laurie. And he throws out the fast-moving Blanco. And he showed off a great arm there.
He's got a cannon, no doubt. I think he's a little upset because he had a throwing error earlier in this ball game, kind of a bad break throwing error. Nevertheless, good at bat from Blanco.
So now Arias, the pinch hitter for George Cantos. Hunter Strickland runs down to the Giants bullpen once again, and he'll start throwing. Ball 1.
Well, they spent some time on the sign. Oh yeah, and we appreciate that. That's hysterical. I wonder if she made the gloves.
1 ball, 1 strike.
They're ready.
So what's that? They got their Buster Posey catcher's masks on?
Yeah, well, I think where they're sitting is mandatory.
That's not a bad idea.
It makes sense. Attitude, what do you think? I'm going with attitude.
I don't remember the night they gave those away. Do you?
I don't know if they did.
You think they added to their fedoras?
Well, it's working.
1-2 the count. And that's all for Arias. 2 down.
So you think that's the little piece they added right there, huh?
It looks like some embroidery.
It's working. They are rocking it right now.
You know, we could start doing stuff like that on all those long flights on the road trips.
Yeah.
We could start doing some embroidery and really make some cool things. What do you think?
A little Borgello. I mean, it's a party here. It really is. And Friday night, it really opens up. Everybody comes on and gets their orange and black on. It's fun. This place leads the league in it. They got the fever. I mean, come on.
Two down, Pagan, the hitter. Pagan has not been retired tonight. That's a foul ball. Pagan's had 3 hits and a run batted in, and he's walked. He's been on base 4 straight times. Pagan, during the 3-game series here just before the All-Star break with the Phillies in town, the Phillies just could not get him out. Pagan had 7 hits in the 3 games just before the break. 1-2. That was 77 miles an hour down and away. Joe Panik on deck. Two down, nobody on here in the 7th. No, he changed up and struck him out. We're moving to the 8th inning, the top of the order coming up. Canna, Vogt, and Zobrist. Strickland coming in for the bullpen. Bay Area's triple pay giveaway. It's easy. Just download the NBC Bay Area app for iPhone, open to get the code, then tap the screen to enter at NBCBayArea.com/contests. Don't miss your chance to win $1,000. Enter NBC Bay Area's triple pay giveaway now before the game ends. Hunter Strickland into his 25th game in the big leagues this year, a 1.96 ERA, 23 innings, 29 strikeouts, Mike.
Just 25 base runners in those 23 innings. He's got great stuff. I mean, he's night and day different now from where he was last September when he first came up. Back then, he was pretty much a 2-pitch guy. One type of fastball, a 4-seam fastball, and a slider that at times would get lazy. Well, this year, he's added to the fastball. He's throwing 2 types now. He's got a split finger fastball that he throws.
98 miles an hour for a called strike 2. There is Vogt on deck.
Still has high velocity, and that's with both grips. A lot easier to throw a higher velocity with a 4-seam fastball than a 2-seam fastball. But he can do both. He can put flames on both grips.
7-3, the Giants leading, 8th inning. 0-2 the count to Cannon. He just blew it right by him at 98 miles an hour.
With cut. And that'll make you talk to yourself. That's a 3-pitch seer right there. Just 4-seam with a little cut action that just absolutely breaks down both elbows. That's a rough at bat.
Now Stephen Vogt, who was an American League All-Star team member, Vogt is 0 for 3 in the game. Bell. Strickland covering. 2 down.
And a one-pitch see it.
Series will continue tomorrow, 1:05. And the Giants have Madison Bumgarner scheduled. And the Athletics will go with the rookie Bassett. And in the Sunday afternoon game, the former Oakland right-hander Tim Hudson against Kendall Graveman. Slider off the outside. 1 ball and no strikes. And Mike Krukow, you and Dwayne Kuiper will be back on Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area for tomorrow and Sunday's games. 2-0. And then we'll be back on NBC Bay Area Monday night with Milwaukee in town. NBC Bay Area and the Giants television network Monday night. Ben Zobrist has struck out twice, and then he hit a home run in the 7th inning. Right back to Strickland. And that's a very powerful inning. 7 pitches and out. Panic, Duffy, and Posey coming up for the Giants.
At 12:30 for Giants pregame live before Game 2 of the series. We'll be back with you on NBC Bay Area and the Giants Television Network Monday night at 7 for the Giants and the Brewers, right here from AT Park.
Giants leading 7-3 in Game 1 of this series. The Giants Athletics Bay Area interleague matchup, and here is Edward Mujica on the pitch for Oakland. Those are his overall numbers this year. He's given up 6 home runs in those 27 in the 3rd innings, but he has pitched better since coming to the Athletics.
He can be a low 90s velocity. He's kind of a fastball split guy, occasional sliders.
Mujica started the year with the Boston Red Sox and then was designated for assignment on May the 8th. And the next day was traded to Oakland for a player to be named later, or cash. That's a called strike. Giants remember him from his days with the St. Louis Cardinals in the National League. He's had 16 career appearances against the Giants, as you see Duffy on deck. 2-2. Paddock has popped out, hit a sacrifice fly, struck out, and grounded out. So officially 0 for 3 with an RBI. Giants have 14 hits in this game. Scored all of their runs in the first 5 innings. Canna out number 1. And now Duffy will come up.
You know, one thing the Giants have done this year, I think, is different than we've seen in previous years. Is, you know, they're a good team coming out of an off day. I think they benefit from their off days. In previous years with previous teams, it's almost like they come out of an off day and it took them one day to get warmed back up to find that rhythm offensively. Not so with this team.
It's a cool shot right there with the Coke bottle and the glove. Just behind Buster. And that's a base hit for Duffy. He's 2 for 5. And Buster will come up.
Yeah, he's 2 for 5, but he's hit the ball hard 4 times tonight. And once again, Buster Posey gets the hit with a runner on. One of our keys tonight was to set the table, and the Giants really have done a nice job of that. A's pitchers have been in the stretch a lot tonight. They've had 1-2-3 inning against the Giants, and that was the 7th.
Buster 2 for 3 plus a sacrifice fly. He scored 1, knocked in 1. He's had 26 RBIs in his last 21 games now.
Big time sink right there on that fastball. Well, they're both smiling. And that's rare this late in the ball game. Ice cream will do that to you. Make you happy.
So that was very good. She's not happy. Her team's doing poorly. Ice cream. Enjoy.
It's working. That ball got in deep in the hands of Posey.
Let that be a lesson to us all. Ice cream.
You scream.
There's things not going well. Ice cream.
It's been working in my house for years.
Fix it. 0-2 the count. 2-2.
Yeah. I want to get that. I want to get that. I want to get that. That's the best part right there. I'm sorry. I would not be putting that down. It's just starting to get good.
There goes the runner. And right through the vacated shortstop hole. And Matt Duffy got obstructed by Sogard, the third base umpire. Drake immediately started pointing at Sogard, but Duffy made it to third base anyway.
It looks like Sogard was putting on a deke, and then he got right in the way, the running path of Matt Duffy. Umpires were right on it. As you pointed out, Kerwin Danley and the second base umpire and Rob Drake, the third base umpire, both pointing towards the obstruction.
And the idea on that play, as we've learned, is that if they'd made a play on Duffy and maybe they'd thrown him out at third, then with the obstruction they would have ruled that he would just be awarded third base. First ball swinging, Pence pops it up, and Billy Butler catches that one about halfway down the line. So Pence, who had had a 4-hit game going, is out on one pitch here. 2 down. And Brandon Belt, who's had an RBI double. That was back in the 5th inning. He's 1 for 4. Giants now with 16 hits. Posey has 3 of them. Pagan has 3. Pence has 4. A couple of hits for Matt Duffy. That's out of play. And this is, I think you were starting to talk about the Giants coming back after an off day and that sort of thing. But coming home from a road trip where they hit real well, how many times did they come home from the road trip and not hit well? So tonight, immediately just picked right up where they left off on that road trip.
16 hit night. No, this is definitely a different team than they were 3 weeks ago offensively. Just the confidence. And I mean, Hunter Pence had everything to do with it. Just everybody in the lineup relaxed, got deeper. And he did something remarkable. I mean, when he came off the disabled list, he did not go down and rehab. He just went right into the lineup, and he's been fantastic.
There goes Posey from first base. Count 1 and 2 to Bell.
Hey, it's a 7-3 game. That's good play. Put yourself in scoring position. Managers like to go into the 9th inning with a 5-run lead, so one swing of the bat can't tie the score. They're not going to hold you on. Take it.
Oakland with the overshift on for Belt. So if it had still been 7-1, the Giants had a 7-1 lead into the 7th, then he's not going.
No, he would not go.
Duffy at third, Posey at second. Posey got credit for a steal. Belt still alive. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
They made their signs. Got their lids on, strapped on their orange and black, head out to the yard. That's a good Friday right there.
All we do is win. 1-2 the count. Right through the defense there. And that's a 2-run single for Brandon Belt. Duffy and Posey both score. 9-3 Giants. And a 3 RBI night for Brandon Belt. To Crawford. Brandon Crawford has had 1 hit in 4 at-bats and a run scored. The Giants, just before the break, they had the 3-game series with the Phillies. Scored 27 runs in the 3 games on 49 hits, and they've had 9 runs and 17 hits tonight. So, which is just about the average night that they had against the Phillies in that 3-game series. Of course, they had 15 runs and 22 of the hits in 1 game against the Phillies 2 weeks ago tonight, in fact.
Oh, you think back to the start of June when they just could not get it going offensively here. Now, not a problem.
Giants get 2 runs and have a 9-3 lead. As we head to the 9th inning, Vogelsong up in the Giants bullpen. 9-3. Giants trying to get their 9th win in their last 10 games. And they've got the bullpen getting ready if needed. The right-hander Vogelsong and the left-hander Javier Lopez now warming up for the Giants. Oakland's got Billy Butler to lead off here. Butler is 2 for 3 in the game, 2 singles. Josh Reddick and then Brett Lawrie to follow. 9 runs, 17 hits for the Giants, 3 runs, 7 hits, and 1 error for Oakland. Beauty, knee high on the outside at 97 miles an hour. It's 0-1.
He's throwing the ball great tonight. Really spotting that fastball well.
He retired the side in order in the 8th inning on 7 pitches, did Strickland. Slider along the right field line, could be trouble, and it drops in, base hit. Strickland hustled over to first base to cover the bag as Butler took a big turn around first base. So it's a bloop single for Billy Butler, his 3rd hit of the night, and Bruce Bochy's coming out with the left-handed hitting Reddick coming up, and he's going to bring in the left-hander Javier Lopez to face him. 9-3 Giants. We're still going here in the ninth. Back. Interleague play, and after the bloop single to right by Butler, Javier Lopez brought into the game by manager Bruce Bochy. You see Lopez's numbers, and that hit total for his innings pitched, that grabs your eye.
Yeah, I think he kind of reinvented himself this year in spring training. Started toying around some other pitches. Brought a changeup back that he had early in his career. 2 types of fastballs. I mean, it's made all the difference, and he's having fun. Never been better.
That is a foul ball. Reddick has singled, fouled out to the catcher, and flied out to left center. 1 for 3. Lopez has been tough on both lefties and righties this year. Against lefties, you expect him to be strong, and he's never been better. Lefties are hitting 118 against him, but righties hitting only 161. 2-1 now. There's Brett Lawrie on deck. Giants got the 2 extra runs in the 8th inning. Now a 9-3 lead. Joe Paddock in time to get Reddick, who is hustling up the line. And Butler moves to second. So Lopez got the left-handed hitter, and now Bochy's going to bring in Brian Vogelsong here with the right-handed hitting Lawrie coming up. So we have another. Ryan Vogelsong on in relief with Brett Lawrie, a right-handed hitter, coming up.
The numbers for Vogelsong. This is his 5th time out of the bullpen. He's made 16 starts, 7-6 with a 4.06 ERA. He's throwing the ball great right now. His fastball's been really consistent to the corners with 2 types of movement: cutter, curveball, changeup. Can do groove. Well, it's not a lot of boat, but that's all you need, I guess, as long as you got a cooler.
He has pedals. Duffy. He toyed with the idea of going after Billy Butler to tag him out, but went ahead and threw out Lawrie. 2 down. Butler now at 3rd. Eric Sogard will come up. Ryan Vogelsong pitching out of the bullpen. He went 2 scoreless innings in relief Monday night in San Diego in a loss for the Giants. He was the 10th pitcher in that extra inning game at the start of the road trip. First game out in that road trip, the Giants had extra innings and ended up using 10 pitchers, and Vogelsong went the last 2 innings and got the win in that one. 1 ball, no strikes to Sogard. There's that very narrow strike zone.
You know what, though, I think that Rayburn's really been consistent with it, and that's all you can ask. I mean, you're going to have some nights where you have big zones, other nights you're going to have small zones. When they're consistent and they're the same the first inning as they are the 9th inning, you don't really have a problem with it. There haven't been many comments from either bench, and not a whole lot of rubbernecking going on up there on the plate, and pitchers haven't dropped a lot of stank eye on them. Yeah, from an umpire's perspective, you get no stank eye from somebody, that's a pretty good night.
That is just foul. And it wasn't foul by very much. Hit very hard by Sogard. 2-2 the count.
All right, how foul was it? Yeah, a couple feet.
2-2 the count. And those who are still here, Rise. Strike 3 called. And that ends it. The Giants win it, their 9th win in their last 10 games, and they remain 3 games out of first in the National League West. And a strong night for Jake Peavy for the 4th time in a row. Peavy looking strong.
Well, he really was strong tonight. There was one point in the game where he had 12 retired in a row, but I think that what he did early in the game, establishing the low part of the zone, really set his night up, and he's got to feel really good about it. And the offense is really clicking. A 17-hit, 9-run night.
For more on tonight's game, tune in to Sportsnet Central on Comcast Sportsnet, and tune in to Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area tomorrow afternoon at 12:30 for Giants pregame live before Game 2 of the series. Bumgarner will be on the mound for the Giants. We'll be back with you on NBC Bay Area and the Giants Television Network Monday night for the Giants and the Brewers. For Mike Krukow and Amy G, I'm John Miller. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the telecast. And now from San Francisco, we say good night, the Giants beating the A's.